One day I'm going to time that up perfectly so you guys got just the right amount of time, but we haven't quite figured that out yet. The thing I do have time for is my friends here. I got Donnie and Gov back with us. We were going to do a Friday show, and then we had some personal issues come up. But I actually think it was good because we had we have a lot of injury news this week, and so the closer to the slate we could do this show, the better I thought the product was going to be. So I think it's one of those like happy accidents, as Bob Ross would say. How you guys doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm all right. God, what about you, man?
Doing solid. Doing solid. It's been an okay week.
Yeah, contentment is good. You want to be a little bit of water and a little bit of ice, you know. Being able to be flexible is going to be important, not just in life, but in DFS, especially this week, where I think we've got a lot of injuries. I mentioned it, and then we still have a lot. We have a lot of balls left to be juggled, or the lottery hasn't quite revealed itself yet in terms of what might happen. Uh, we do have some more obvious things kind of popped up, but I'm gonna let you guys choose where we go next. Do you guys want to talk about injuries, or did you want to start with the spread picks and kind of do that recap first?
Honestly, I am kind of excited and anxious to start with a lineup if that's cool with you.
I honestly haven't even started building this week. I think I have my preliminary cash lineup, but it's not finalized at all. So
how about we do this, Donnie? Because I actually was going to pull up the injuries just so we'd be aware for the lineup. Why don't you do the recap from last week of the spread picks while I do that, and then we'll save our actual picks for this week until the end of the show, and then we can get right into a lineup build.
All right. So the last week we had Logan go 1-1. 2-0. Logan won. He had the Lions at +3.5 and the Browns at +3.5, and he is now at 6-8. Gov had the Panthers at +4, the Cowboys at -9.5, which is 2-0. And I went 1-1 with the Titans at -2.5 and the Raiders at -1.5, which brings me to 10-4. Gov is 7-6-1. I forgot about that. And our lock of the week was Jags at -2.5. And our lock of the week is at 2-2. Not looking great so far.
It isn't, but we got plenty of time to turn around. There's an extra week in the NFL for a reason. Maybe that's exactly the reason. I will say Travis Etienne looked amazing. That was a game we both all liked. I was definitely paying attention to that was in London. I think Etienne looked amazing. I just want to say that because I know he'll be a popular play this week, but it's just like you got to be impressed by what he did last week. Got any takeaways from like last week's spread picks? Any kind of anything you can take away maybe to apply this week?
Well, again, the Falcons were like one of the reasons we've been hammering them is they have covered the spread pretty much all year.
Yeah, I think they've only missed once.
Yep.
And that was recently, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe it was.
I thought they started off 6 against the spread. So 6-0.
Yeah, no, I was about to say I think that might have been literally the week before was the first time they didn't cover, and they only missed it by like a point. So, like that was a good. That's those are the kind of things you have to look for. Like when teams start to become themselves, what really starts to happen. And like I'll be taking that forward when we make our picks later. That's one of the reasons why I like some of these picks on the board that I have. But the games this week honestly look really good. Like last week, I wasn't sure where I was going to target because I wasn't sure which one was going to be the good game. This week, I kind of like a lot of different game environments. There's a few different places I'm stacking. There's a few different games I like.
Not only that, but we've seen really strategic bye weeks too. So I do think, like from a television standpoint, I do think like all the networks I think are going to be in play this week. A lot of times we see like the networks kind of succeed to each other, or they'll like choose to have a morning.
Yeah, it's a
game.
Fox week. It's a CBS week.
Right, and then
Yep.
they'll get out of each other's way. Like one week, like Doug was saying, Fox would have a big prime time, afternoon slate. So then, but I think this week, given the bye weeks, I think we're going to see a lot of good action. So I want to build a lot of it. I realize I've been getting this newsletter from Pat Mayo, who's one of the lead analysts in the game, and he does such a great job of updating us. I thought I would just break down some of his injury notes just quickly, so that way when we do get into a lineup, we're aware of some of these things, and it just kind of helps our people as well. So he's got Jonathan Taylor out, Darrell Williams placed on IR out, J.D. McKissick out, Chuba Hubbard out, Mark Ingram out, Gus Edwards likely out, James Conner, 2 game time decision, Swift likely in, Patterson likely in, Harrison highly questionable, Robinson questionable but likely to play but limited snaps, Cam Akers questionable, personal issues but likely to come back with some role. Keenan Allen out. Mike Williams out. Parker out. Corey Davis out. Russell Gage out. Dotson out. Josh Reynolds likely out. Alan Lazard, game time decision leaning towards end because the Packers feel like they have to win in the immediate. Chase out. Michael Thomas IR. Bateman IR, not looking good. Cooper N. Big N, but could be limited. Questionable on Watson for Green Bay Packers. That means little if Lazard does play. Jarvis Landry questionable. Demarcus Robinson questionable. Julio Jones questionable. Matt Collins questionable. Brandon Cooks took a leave of absence from the team. Did not practice. Nico Collins did not practice with a groin injury. Irv Smith is out for the season. I wanted to update that because I knew he was out this week, but he actually has been ruled out for the whole entire season. Parham was placed on the IR, so he's not just out this week, but it was severe enough to go to the IR. Cameron Brate out. Mark Andrews likely out. Brock Wright, game time decision, not looking good, concussion. Adam Troutman, questionable. Darren Wall, true game time decision. So now that we have that news, that was a lot to digest. What was some of your takeaways, Gov? I'll go to you first.
Most of that news I have already been reacted to, and some of it, like the Baltimore stuff, we still have until Monday to figure that out. The Baltimore and the New Orleans stuff. So right. But I don't expect Andrews to play on Monday myself.
I wouldn't expect it either. Isaiah likely looked good, so I think it's likely that they want to see what they got in him, and it'd be a perfect time to showcase. Donnie, anything come to mind when you heard that list?
I thought the Panthers, to look at their backfield, how the snaps have been going, how they went last week, it would be definitely interesting.
Mm-hmm.
When you're thinking about a lineup, but also that kind of, with Patterson coming back, that kind of rules out the Algier plays.
Yeah,
I'll admit, Patterson coming off the IR and being active is going to muddy up that Atlanta backfield a lot.
He's been really interesting though. He could.
Has Algier put up enough to where he'll keep the role, and then they just use CPAT as the third down spell receiving back, where he'd probably thrive?
But would you argue that he wasn't thriving already? I mean, he was really looking like a good running back in the role that he was given already. So
true, but we don't even need volume necessarily. If Patterson plays an Eckler role and he gets valuable touches, I'm not going there. I've never been a Patterson guy, but I have to admit the late resurgence in his career has been impressive. So let's get to this lineup build. I have some obvious things I would like to do at quarterback. But what do you guys feel like?
I'm only really going in 2 or 3 places. So
Yeah, me too.
as of right now,
So why don't we do this? Why don't we go around the table here and you name the top 3 quarterbacks, and we'll see if we have a consensus. Go,
okay.
who's your top 3 quarterbacks this week? Price
Okay.
considered.
My top 3 quarterbacks.
Because obviously Johnny can't price consider, so I
Right.
need you to do that.
Well, okay. So I mean, number 1 is Josh Allen. I know he's the most expensive. It's still Josh Allen. It's just going to be Josh Allen when he's on the slate. It's Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, I like Geno from that Arizona game. I know a lot of people are probably going to be more on Kyler, but Geno has been consistently good this year. Like, they're just letting him do his thing, and he's playing pretty well in that system. So I'm willing to take a shot on that.
Okay.
The third one, I think people are going to be playing Fields as their punt quarterback. And I'm willing to play Mariota at the same price.
Okay.
And so Mariota would be my third one.
I
Like,
like
again, that's a wide range. I've got the most expensive guy, I've got a cheap dude, and then I've got someone like right in that mid-range.
I like the Allen idea, but if I'm going to go and grab a quarterback at the Geno price, I'm looking at Stafford personally.
Yeah, I don't like the Allen play because I want to play the Jets defense. I think
I don't want to play the Jets defense against Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm not looking to play the Jets defense against Buffalo.
Okay,
well, as good as the Jets defense looks, Buffalo just doesn't allow defenses to score points.
Not to mention the fact that they lost Breece Hall, which is going to negate a little bit of their clock management as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'll do a little foreshadowing. I think the Jets beat the Bills this week. So
it very well could be. The Bills could. I'm just not sure with the Bills coming off a bye that they're going to do.
Honestly, I think the Jets have one of the best defenses in the league.
They do, but I trust the Bills way too much.
So, okay, so Donnie, who's your 3 quarterbacks this week?
I like Allen. I like Stafford. I'm not sure I have a definitive 3. I'd have to see more of the pricing to give you a third.
Okay, I can show you that. I mean, this would be a good thought exercise, anyways.
I've seen all that. Yeah, Lawrence is still pretty cheap. I mean, against a Vegas team that I would say that would be my 3: Lawrence, Stafford, and Allen.
Well, I think we're close to a consensus because mine were Stafford, Fields, and Lawrence.
I'm fine with Lawrence of those. Of the ones you're saying, Lawrence would be the one I would be on the most.
Okay, so can we stack it with Trevor Lawrence? I think that's how you keep a chalky guy in the lineup, Govs, but you also get different with it. So it's a way to eat the chalk, but also like kind of protect ourselves. And he's seen so much passing work. I think it's a good idea, but I'll listen to you if you wanted to fade it. I just think at that price, as a bring back, I think it's a no-brainer.
Seeing, I don't mind it because I do think Jacksonville can score points against Vegas. So, like, if the whole team is scoring points, I don't mind getting those points. He doesn't really get thrown the ball enough to be a correlated target. So,
well, not yet. Remember, he hasn't really seen the full workload yet. We only have a 2-week sample size of him being the starter.
Even if we extrapolate it to James Robinson being the starter the first few weeks, there's not a lot of target share to the running backs from this offense. They don't check it down to the run. Lawrence is much willing to throw it to an outside receiver than it is to check it down. Or if he does hit his check down, it's more likely going to Ingram. Which is why, like, if I'm playing Trevor Lawrence, the first thing I want to do is lock Evan Ingram.
I could definitely see that. What do you think about Travis Etienne in this lineup, Donnie? Yes or no?
I mean, I think every lineup I played has had ETN in it. Am I wrong about that? I'm pretty sure every lineup we've made off stream has had ETN.
Well, and he's coming off his best game. He is cheaper than he had. I mean, he hasn't really seen a price bump, is what I meant to say. Like he went from I guess he went up not even 1,000 from the last two weeks.
What is crazy is he has had almost a 50-yard play in 3 straight games.
Yeah, I'm okay fading it if you guys wanted to, but like I just think the high upside is there. And Donnie stole my thunder a bit. Like not only has he got the touchdowns, but he's got the big playability. But if you wanted to fade it, I would totally understand.
Let's
see.
Honestly, there might be enough there.
Why don't we leave it?
I think as long as we have Ingram stacked with him, I'm fine with that being our double stack. ETN Ingram with Lawrence.
That makes sense.
I'm good with that because I love Evan Ingram. Guys, there's not that many tight ends this week. I'm going to be playing a lot of my Lions cheap tight ends, so this would be a way for me to. You're forcing me to draft somebody else not named a Lions tight end, which all my other Lions will have the Lions tight end based on.
And that's Mitchell, unless it's Brock.
To me, it's Mitchell regardless because, and I was gonna have Donnie pull this up in the player profiler, and if you want to, Donnie, you can do that. I'll give you some heads up. Pull up James Mitchell, and I'll tell you why. As a Lions guy, I would do it. Is we drafted him, they believe in him. They drafted Brock Wright, but super late. He was a 7th-round guy. He is more of your blocking tight end. Now, he has like weird, good athleticism, but he doesn't have good speed, Brock Wright. So, like, contested catch, he's like your red zone guy. Like, if they get close to the red zone, he's going to Joseph Fourier steal the touchdown potentially. But Mitchell in college drew a lot of like Taysom Hill kind of comparisons to his like weird athletic ability when the ball was in his hands. He had a really good run after the catch average in college and tore his ACL, I think, in week 8. And some people think like he would have been a 2nd-round pick had he not tore his ACL. So I'm going to go with the high upside. And Mitchell also saw some targets with Hawkinson last week in the lineup. Now, Brock Wright had a touchdown call back against the Cowboys, so I'm not going to act like I'm some genius. I don't know which one to play. I'm just going to play the one that has the more athletic upside. And as soon as Donnie has that player profiler, we'll go not through just Mitchell, but we'll go through some other players I think are interesting values this week that you guys might not know that much about that we can kind of look into. But I like this Evan Ingram call quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm fine with that because his price range is good for the targets. I think everything looks good.
Donnie came through with us on the James.
Oh, yeah, we got the PFF.
So, again, like, he's not like I would compare him to a slower Darren Waller. Like, his catch radius is good, but, like, the rate when the ball gets in his hands, he turns it into a real receiver. Where Brock Wright's more your contested catch, Kenny Galladay type, you got it. And the concussion scares me because we saw St. Brown a couple weeks ago go down kind of awkwardly, just get slapped in the head, and the way the NFL protects the player. And I don't think it's a bad thing to protect the player, but with concussions, they're definitely playing it more safe. I'm just not. I would rather take a 0 from Mitchell than play Brock Wright with the concussion concerns. That's where I'm at.
I agree. I find it funny that they have the best comparable person to him, Brock Wright.
Yeah, I mean, you can even pull up Brock Wright to compare. Brock Wright is weirdly athletic too. It's just Brock Wright is a better run blocker, I believe, than T.J. Hawkinson and Mitchell. And I think that's one of the reasons the Lions did it. Hawkinson's a good blocker, but he's a good blocker. I think his blocking show was always considered great, and that's why he got drafted in the first round. But it never lived up to the expectation of first round, tight end.
So I just find it interesting. The projected ownership on Brock Wright is 2.5, and I think for James Mitchell it was 0.2. They had it as, so that's definitely something to look at as well.
That's going to change though if Brock Wright gets rolled out. I actually hope that we don't actually get that news, or maybe they both play, because I think Mitchell would be the pass catcher. Because even if Brock Wright plays with the concussion considered, I think we would most likely try to use him to his best ability, which is his rushing ability or his run blocking ability. But I do think we'll see more big plays. Donnie talked about it with ETN. I think we'll see more big plays coming from the Lions run game with these two tight ends. Because I think as a whole, I think we might be better off with Brock Wright being our blocking tight end than TJ Hawkinson.
See, that actually brings me to what I want to do next with the lineup.
Yeah, let's go back to the lineup.
So, now that we've got our little stack, I'm not so worried about the bring back just yet. We'll see if that naturally fits, because I wouldn't mind having a Vegas guy, but I don't need a Vegas guy.
Correct.
But I would like to go to the next thing I like to do, which I'd like to correlate a defense and a running back. And if you think the run game is going to be better, then I don't mind doing that as our little mini to get a piece of that Green Bay Detroit game, which should be a very good game chalky that people need a piece of. Let's go with Jamal Williams and the Lions defense. Because didn't Swift come out and say earlier this week, I feel like there was an article or a blurb from a writer that he doesn't know if he's going to be 100% all year, but he's going to get treatment and be out there playing whenever he can.
Yeah.
So I'm more willing to play Jamal Williams, who's already getting a bunch of work because of that.
You got to change the screen, Logan.
Oh, that's right. Good call. I did pull up Swift so we could get the latest news on him. It looks like he had a limited practice Thursday and Friday after being held out Wednesday. And Dan Campbell said the plan is basically, from what I remember, because this is an okay information, but Dan Campbell said they were going to use him, but they were going to use him to his best abilities. And they, in a weird way, said they were going to save him for big moments in the game. So to Gus' point, I think Williams does make some sense.
Yep, and he's cheaper still. So $5,900 Jamal Williams, and we get our cheap $2,600 defense, because who knows? Rodgers, who knows what he has left? We know he doesn't have a lot of great receivers. So if he tries to throw, it could end up being bad.
Is Jamal Williams cheaper this week than he was last? He is.
He is. Even after a solid game. So I'm even more willing to play Jamal Williams.
Is it?
As our second running back. I'm actually really liking that correlation right there.
I know as a whole the Lions defense is the worst defense statistically this year. But I want to say that the Packers might be the worst run defense entirely.
Yeah.
If not,
if we have money to move off the defense, I'm fine doing that. But to start with that as a base to look at our lineup with, because I believe they're 2,600, the Lions, 2,600, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I was going to just
say,
we got Josh Pascal back a couple weeks ago, and I was watching that game with Donnie because it was on the CBS broadcast. They brought Nance and Romo in there. And we were watching, and I told him, I said, Josh Pascal is probably not ready for a full-time defensive role yet. But when he is a difference maker. I mean, they compared him all off season to Aaron Donald. And then we brought in this old veteran in Bugs who basically filled in for Pascal when he was gone. And so if we can get Pascal and Bugs on the field at the same time, very different skill sets, one short and fast and the other is just a ginormous human. Like I think this run game could change. And like I said, they basically told the DC, "Hey, we fired the defensive backs coach. If you don't stop blitzing, you're going to be fired too." I think we're going to see more zone, and that could also favor some DFS points. So I like the call there, and they're cheap. They're cheap enough, but also expensive. But I think it'll be a very low owned defense. So, Donnie, what did you want to do at wide receiver? We got all the money in the world, so you don't got to worry about salaries. So
I was about to say, do we want to just jam in our favorite guy? Even though he's against an absolutely shut down son of a corner?
I don't think we jam him in.
Yeah. I do want to jam. I do kind of want to jam in a wide receiver, but I don't think we can do Diggs.
Oh, you were pulling it up too? I was going to say Hopkins makes a lot of sense to me.
I actually want to go a lot higher at receiver.
Let's do both.
I'm looking at either my two favorites would be Jefferson is my number one favorite. The other favorite I have would be the correlated piece to our stack, and that would be Devonta. That'd be Adams.
Let's do Adams.
So, like, which one would you guys rather do, Adams or Jefferson?
I'd rather do Jefferson personally, but price-wise, I think it makes more sense to go Adams.
Well,
see, and I'd rather do Jefferson myself. I think he's due for another, like, big breakout game. He has, like, 40, 11, 15, 12, 30, 30, 15, 14. I think he's ready for another one of those 30-point games.
We can have that discussion in a minute. We got to have one really important one, though. Do we play any Chargers? Because all their good wide receivers are out. And this is what we're looking at. I mean, even their bad wide receivers are out. Guyton, who is like their Deshaun Jackson type, I'm going to run a 9 route, and maybe they'll throw me the ball.
I'm not as worried because I think the Chargers offense already normally runs through the run game. And, like, when Williams and Allen are healthy, they can be extremely explosive, but they already are just going to run through Eckler. So, like, if we have a piece of that game, I'd rather just have Eckler. But then we're paying up for Eckler instead of a wide receiver or two. Because, we show right here, like, you have Adams and Hopkins in the lineup, and we still have plenty of money to spend. So it's like, it's not like we couldn't do, like, Adams and Eckler instead of Hopkins and still have solid money. Or we get our value, and the problem is the real value I like from that game is Gerald Everett. And we already have our tight end spot locked up.
Yeah, so but we don't know
I don't know if I need a piece of that game. I like that game.
Okay, I have a suggestion. Why don't we pick our favorite Chargers receiver just to see?
Palmer.
I was going to say Palmer. Yeah.
Okay. Where does that put us at with where we can go running back wise if we go for another running back?
Well, let's say we go with a flex running back. Put Palmer in.
Okay, so then
that leaves us 5,600 for the flex. Oh, but we also have Hopkins in there too. So
yeah,
I think Damian Harris is ruled out. I'm pretty sure.
Yes,
just to let you guys know.
In that range, the only one I'd be looking at would be like Algier on the other side. But now with Patterson, I don't know how much I like that. Gibson is okay because McKissick is out, so he should be the passing down back. And he might end up taking more normal snaps from Brian Robinson, it looks like, too. But we'll see about that.
Yeah, I like Gibson.
And then, but if we do Gibson, I'd almost want.
Well, I'd rather do Brian Robinson.
I'd rather do Jackson than Robinson.
See, I don't mind Deion Jackson. I think he could do good, but I don't know, like in New England. But he's still like
against the Patriots. I think the Patriots defense is still pretty good.
I don't give a damn if they're good or not. He saw what, 10 targets? Yeah,
he did see 10 targets in that Jacksonville
but that was
game
with
that
Matt
they were
Ryan.
trailing. But that was also the last. Yes, but he's not a great play. I'll admit.
Yeah, he's not.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Get rid of DeAndre Hopkins. Then we have money to spend. We don't have to be at 5,600.
I think.
If,
Well, I
if
was
I'm
just going to
going
bring up.
for a traded running back this week, I would rather try and say, okay, Hines is going to have a bigger game because the Bills are going to pass so much. But
Jeff Wilson knows that offense.
Yeah, it won't take Jeff Wilson long, but Jeff Wilson couldn't beat out Mostert in San Fran when Mostert was healthy.
Sure.
So I do
No,
think
I'm
he's
just saying,
just going to be the more competent backup than Edmonds to Mostert.
to
But
me, it's wide receiver. I would put a wide receiver in this slot.
we can afford Kirk and just go with him. I don't know.
I can't onslaught it like that. No. Dobbs, though.
What about Rondo?
Dobbs, like we could do Dobbs and then maybe get off the Lions defense. Because if Lazard is out, he will be the number one wide receiver against Detroit. So I wouldn't mind having that as like a mini stack. And like again, we could still play around with stuff because that would give us like $300. We could go around on defense. We could still switch Hopkins and Adams to like Jefferson and in like a 6K wide receiver. Or not even, like still high 7K wide receiver. Like there's still plenty of things and pivots you could do in this lineup.
This is a good talking point as well. It's because they have Parker out, and Bourne came back to practice. Is he likely?
But they don't like playing Bourne that much. It looks like.
He's a limited skill set wide receiver. Like he really is.
I'd assume they want to play Thornton more than Bourne. Bourne hasn't seen the field much.
Thornton is getting a lot of snaps. He's like on the field like all the time. So like he can break out at any point.
Right. Now, or was his 2 touchdown game going to be his big breakout?
Or did he? Yeah, I was about to say, did he already break out? Now he's going to dud for like 5-6 weeks. That's the thing.
It's so hard with the Patriots offense, but also the Colts I think are really bad. So
this is another value play that we might want to give to the people. Cleve Raymond. If Reynolds is likely out, but also you guys got to remember, St. Brown is only 6K this week.
Yeah, Amon Ra, the Sun God is too cheap. He's going to be very highly owned because that game is something I wouldn't mind getting pieces of, but I kind of want to get slightly different pieces because a lot of people are probably just going to have Aaron Jones and Amon Ra as a mini or as part of a stack somehow. And that'll be the chalkiest thing to have. And I think that that's probably the way to go because those are the 2 focal points of those. With no Hawkinson, Amon Ra in the run game should be the focal point of Detroit. And we already know Rodgers and Jones is the focal point of the Packers offense. So
right. Now, I like that we went focal with all these focal points here. I really do. I think we locked in a lot of targets. Hopkins has seen an absurd amount of targets. And actually, Williams, I want to bring this up while we're here. Williams did see 3 receptions last week, and that doesn't sound huge, but like he's never been a big reception guy for his whole career. So for him to all of a sudden see 3, that speaks to how badly they
3 and in limited work where he's splitting with Swift. So like,
right.
So, like, yeah, I think that is solid. That's why I really like Jamal Williams this week.
Yeah, I do too. I like that call.
All right, so, like, with 5,600, you can do a lot with this lineup.
I wish we could get up to Walker. I wish there was a way. There is one way. We'd have to play the Jets.
We're not playing the Jets defense against.
We can't do the Jets against Buffalo. No.
Okay.
Like,
I think it's such a good point. Why don't we play Stevenson and play the Jets defense? Because I know you're not about the Walker play, but I know you both like Stevenson this week. So
I don't
That's
hate-
not enough to convince me to switch off to the Jets defense. I, think
I
the
was about to
Jets
say,
D-
like,
wait a
I
minute.
think I'd rather just like go down to Foreman of Carolina.
Oh, Foreman. That, I don't know why the
5,800,
fuck
I
is that-
think that would work.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
wait, no,
thank
I think
God.
we're just off of that actually.
Are we? Oh, we
Yep.
are.
He's up to 6K actually. I thought he was 5,800. Oh, he was 5,800 last week. That's what it was. Okay. Yeah,
I
see,
think it's why the-
5,600 is a sort of a dead range. Like, okay, let's look at what we have for if we go down at defense.
I was going to look at what Carter costs. So Carter saves us almost
Nothing. He's
1,000.
Carter. Oh yeah, he is actually almost 1,000. So with Carter, yeah, we'd have no problem playing Foreman. We'd have no problem playing Stevenson. He's been a solid worker. He's probably been able to practice more this week with Palmer in the concussion protocol. So, and like he'll be on the field a lot. So,
And look at these targets, man. He's already
yeah,
seen targets.
as a tertiary role with Mike Williams or Keenan Allen and other guys active, he is still getting 5-7 targets. So, like
I'll tell you what,
if that bumps to an 8-target game, he could smash at 4,300.
So the question then becomes, do we go down to the Lions and get up to Mixon? Do we go with Walker, Stevenson?
How about DK?
I like DK this week.
Like I don't
No
mind
one's
doing
gonna-
DK.
No
It's
one's
not
gonna
going to be
play
like
him.
it's not going to be the main one that people go. We get the 2 target monsters from that game, DK and Hopkins. There's
it's
there's a good
Florida.
mini stack. Like I don't hate that.
What do you think, Donnie?
I like DK. I mean, he's going to get the target. We have, in my opinion, 3 top tier receivers in this lineup right now.
Yeah, with Hopkins, Adams, and Metcalf, we have 3 power receivers that have massive ceilings.
Yeah. Why don't you pull up DK Metcalf's player profile if you still got that website up for me, Donnie? Because I want to show people something crazy about his measurables. I want to say like he ran like something crazy, like didn't he like one of the best 40s in like the last 10 years? And then he put it across his sides. It's like I still don't think we saw his best game. I really don't.
He ran a 4.33. I just pulled it up.
At 6'3", though, man, like I will always love this guy. So you could convince me to play this guy at 36 years old. Like if he plays that long, if he has like a Terrell Owens like career, I will still be playing him. Like to me, he's that Adrian Peterson genetic freak where it's like if he plays 10 years from now, I'm still playing him in my lineups. What do they have his ownership projected at? Just curious. That's another reason I had to bring him up.
That would be 11.
See, that seems way high for me. Now, if you click on just the main player profile or like homepage, Donnie, what it will do is it will pull up the people that are being talked about the most. I think you have to click on that little P symbol in the one corner.
I'll just go back to this. Hold on.
But it should be it'll be, use underdog and it will talk about the trendiest players. The guy that we faded that we didn't bring up was Marshall. And given they are Gov's number 1 watch team, what do you think about Marshall this week?
I mean, he's finally stepping into the role I thought he would. But I guess it really did take getting McCaffrey out of there to get him those kind of targets. But I don't hate him for value this week.
I don't hate him either, but I think Carter's a better play. But this is why I think it's smart to fade DJ Moore this week because I think DJ could be like 30% owned. I really do. And I like him. But like I know he's seen a lot of targets. He's cheap, but like I don't like that ownership projection. If I'm playing a wide receiver from the Panthers, it probably would be Marshall. So where do you want to go from here? Did you want to build another lineup? Did you want to like what did you want to do? Because I'm good to go for as long as you guys want.
I say we get our first picks, and then if we want to build a second lineup, I'm down for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works. Yeah, let's put this one in. Hypothetically, of course, this isn't actually an official lineup. This is just for
Oh, no one's
educational
even seeing.
purposes
Yeah,
only.
no one's even seeing you do that. I mean,
No, I just want to be clear. Like that's really what we are doing. Like this isn't just a protection thing. It's like I want you guys to think. You know, one of my favorite guys, Jam to Win from 1 Week Fantasy, always talks about even as a tout, I don't want to catch fish for people. I want to teach you how to fish. And so, like, one of his big slogans for his company is actually a boat. And then he talks about DFS after that. And he just like, because I really want to drive home the point. I don't want to make the fish for you. I want to build you the boat so you can catch the fish yourself. What's the one thing you guys are catching yourself doing that you think could be good or bad? Some forecasting, I guess. So, like, it could be good weather forecast, it could be bad. What are some of the takeaways this week? And as I think you're like me this week, you know a lot of information, but you hadn't built a build yet.
Yeah, that's. I basically have. Yeah, this is honestly the first time I'm looking at DraftKings, and I'm building lineups right now. So, like, my first takeaway is I think there's plenty of value on this slate. I really do. Surprisingly, I think there's plenty of value because I wasn't expecting it. Like I knew the Chargers were going to provide value, but like there's actually good value other places.
I just want to say, like, we're in week 9, and I still feel like there's still so much unknown, and usually I don't feel that way. Like, I feel like there's just so much about these teams that we don't know yet. There's some teams like the Bucks and the Packers that have not shown up at all. That I mean, I was off the Packers, but you know, the Falcons have played above expectations. Seahawks have played above expectations.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Now, I mean, I agree with it so much that I actually took the Saints last week to win the division at plus 650 because I just thought that was the best bet.
Like by now, we usually would have, I think, at least some insight on certain things like divisions, who's in a race for awards and stuff. It just doesn't. It's so unclear to me so far.
Yeah. So
yeah, it really is up in the air. There's only like 2 or 3. Like, I think I saw a meme the other day like that pointed out like all of Philly's 8 wins are extremely fishy. It's like the week 1. Like, let me see exactly what it was.
Philly reminds me of the 11-0 Steelers, and then they lost the last 6, whatever it was.
Who do you think is more of a fraud in terms of like where they are now and where they'll actually finish? Do you
Let's
think?
see. Here it is. I was about to say, here's the Philly one. So it's like week 1, beat the Lions by 3, who are 1-6.
Mm-hmm.
Beat week 2, beat Kirk Cousins in primetime. Week 3, beat the Washington football team. Week 4, beat Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Week 5, beat Arizona without DeAndre Hopkins. Week 6, beat Cooper Rush and the Dallas Cowboys. Week 7, beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Week 8, struggled in the first half against the Texans.
Not just struggled, but also struggled into the second half, I think, too. You know, the score might not have been as vindictive, but
to be honest, yeah, Davis Mills made mistakes in the second half that let Philly just pull away.
I would agree with that. speaking of pulling away, Donnie, what was your takeaways from when Gov read that off? Like, what was your initial thoughts?
I mean, I saw this before that as well before we got on. I saw that this morning, but the Eagles really, to me, remind me a lot of the 11-0 Steelers. Like, it just doesn't feel like they're they feel like cuties, not contenders.
See, I get that vibe from the Vikings. I get a very strong, and we're talking about, I think, the 2020. I get a very strong Vikings could be fake. I actually think that division's still open. Why don't we give our picks though? Because then that will kind of open the floor to more football conversations. Gov, what was your like number one pick this week?
My number one pick this week is going to be the Carolina Panthers. Whoa, shocker. I'm taking my homer pick again. But I'm on the PJ Walker bandwagon. I'm with him. I see them as 7-point underdogs against Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati without Chase might be a little overblown, but we'll see. But I'm willing to take the 7 points and Carolina +7.
I agree with that. I actually agree with that because of Foreman being the only running back there. I think Foreman believes he's good. And I think Foreman delusional, most likely, probably. But I think Foreman actually thinks he's closer to Derrick Henry than almost anyone in probably the entire planet. But he's kind of got a similar body, and he also worked under him for a long time. Like the two worked together. And so, like, if we're getting a poor man's Derrick Henry and he's motivated to actually believe that he's that guy and he's that kind of workhorse, like whether he actually is really irrelevant, to be honest, because it's really a belief system. I mean, it's like Russell Westbrook with the Lakers in the NBA. It's like the first couple games with Russ didn't look good. People, made all their jokes and all their silliness, but he's still the same guy, even though the last 3 games he's looked fantastic. Russell is going to be that, like, I'm going to do it my way dog all season, and you're going to see big peaks and valleys based on those performances. And I think as long as the price stays low enough, we're going to see that with the running back from the Panthers as well, because they're big. They know what they want to do. I mean, Vrabel knows exactly the type of guy he wants to be. And so, I like it. Don, you have anything to add?
I personally don't think the Panthers are that good. I'm not in on it. So I would disagree with that pick. That would be on my lower ends.
When you say not good, though, are you saying anyone in that division is good? Like, are you saying that the Panthers are like the worst and somebody is going to emerge?
I think the Panthers are one of the worst teams in the league.
Okay, so are they better than the Bucks?
No.
That's absurd. I think they are better than the Bucks. And I think it's because the Bucks defense is terrible. That's a very underrated point that no one's brought up. Yeah, the Bucks defense is a nosebleed. But let's get on to your pick, Donnie. Since we had some contention there, maybe we can circle back. But speaking about circling, what game are you circling this week as your pick?
All right. Well, you're gonna not like this one and disagree on this, but I have the Patriots -5.5. I think the Colts are just awful as well, and Belichick is gonna kill Sam Ellinger. That's just what it is. I don't think they're gonna be able to move the ball offensively. They're gonna force a young quarterback into mistakes, and we're just gonna see kind of a rout, I expect.
Okay, I would give you that the Patriots might be the better team, but do you honestly think that any quarterback on the field is better than Sam Ellinger?
Sam Ellinger hasn't done anything.
Either as Mac or Zappy.
Mac at least was able to make a Pro Bowl and get to the playoffs.
Do you really like? I'm asking though, like not telling you. Do you think like that was based on legacy and reputation, given not just that he played for the Patriots, but he also played for Alabama? Like he came in with a banner, he came in with a name.
You know I don't like Mac Jones. I'm not a fan of Mac Jones.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't know if he's actually NFL like quality good.
I don't think he's a good quarterback. I think at best he's an average guy, and he'll be average his whole career. But average is good enough to get you wins and be a game manager. Nothing wrong with it.
It is. That game just scares me as a dumpster fire, and I don't know who's lighting the fire. I just know it's going to be a dumpster fire, and somebody's lighting the fire, and I'm just going to stay far away from it. Gov, what's your takeaways from that game?
I'm kind of with you, Logan. I think that's just sort of going to be a dumpster fire.
Yeah. The sad thing is I don't know who's lighting the damn fire. Like, because there are elements where you're like, oh, the Colts are, I like the Colts because of their coaching staff or their offensive line.
No. The Colts are probably going to get completely shut down by Belichick in New England. It's just I don't know what New England's going to do on offense to I guess yeah, it could look like the game they had earlier this year. Like who'd they shut out? Was it again? What? Was it Detroit that they shut out like 29-0? Yeah. Yeah, could they do that and put up 30 points? Yeah, but they could totally do that and only put up like 17.
Well, I'm just saying, what I'm saying isn't going to happen per se. I'm saying that there are a lot of narratives you can tell yourself about these games or about this game, and I'm not sure which one to believe. Like, for example, Ellinger looked bad, but a lot of people believed in his talent, similar to how a lot of people believed in PJ Walker. Looked bad the first week, barely threw the ball, and then the second week did everything he could, even hit DJ Moore on some lucky plays. So his efficiency was good and he got lucky and just turned the narrative right around. If Ellinger actually looked good after PJ kind of looked bad his first week also, I don't know what's gonna happen. I want to stay away from it though, because I just think, like I say, it's gonna be a dumpster fire. So my game of the week, and I promise you this is no home pick. I will pick against the Packers every time they are favorites. I'm taking the Detroit Lions to beat the Packers. I actually think the Packers are a bottom 5 team in the league. I don't think they're very good. I think their defense is worse than the Lions. I think the Lions defense has been hurt. I think the Packers defense is just bad. They have, I think, a worse offensive line than the Chicago Bears. And because of Bakhtiari being out, it's kind of been the excuse of when he gets back or when they. But I don't like any part of that team. I think Aaron Rodgers hates his receivers. I think they kind of hate the old curmudgeon approach of Aaron Rodgers. I just don't like the vibes. A lot of people talked about Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury fighting on the sidelines. I think we're one fisticuff away from LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers just going totally nuclear on each other. I could see a total coach quarterback kind of meltdown coming up in the coming weeks. I want to get on a team that's young and hungry and trying to play for their coach. Because let's be honest, if Dan Campbell doesn't win at least probably 3 or 4 more games, he'd probably be fired. As sad as that would be.
The Lions have killed you spread-wise all year long.
No, I'm not. I want to be clear. I will take the Lions if I like them. This is more. I am going to bet against the Packers every week. They are favored, and they're favored this week. So give me the money line. I'll take the Lions.
You want the money line? You don't even want the points?
Oh, sorry. I'll take the points. That's what I meant to say. I'm not.
Be smart.
I'm not. No, that's what I meant to say. I'm not crazy enough to take the money line. I'll take the points, but
what are the points at?
Let's see. I have
see
the
it
points for that game
at
at
+4, but I don't.
Lions.
Yeah, I'm seeing.
I have it at +4. Yes.
Yeah.
That might not be a horrible bet this week, to be honest.
Well, I mean, just to prove my point, Donnie can attest. I show him my bankroll every night after my bets are done. I bet them to lose to the Washington Commanders. They did. I bet them to lose to the Vikings. They did.
Yeah, you told me a couple weeks ago you were just going to bet against Packers every time they were favored.
I
think
really
you
am.
said it on the podcast. I mean,
Aaron Rodgers, honestly, guys, is going on the Pat McAfee show and talking bad about his quarterback, essentially his quarterback, like the guy he answers to as a quarterback, his coach, and his wide receivers. Like, it's never been done. I don't think in professional sports, at least in football, where that's been done by a quarterback. It's absurd what's happening over there. So why don't we build this lineup? But why don't we do it like we did last week? Why don't we play the guys that we think are going to be high owned that we don't like, and then we'll reverse engineer it? So I thought that was a fun exercise.
All right, let me pull up my ownership real quick while you get another lineup set up.
So I think the worst play this week, based on ownership and just like
you got to change the screen to get there.
Yeah, get the screen set up. Let me pull up my ownership and see where I'm at. Because, again, I haven't even looked at the slate that much. Worried about NBA. I should have switched I shouldn't have switched off Claxton.
You guys tell me Joe will tell me if the ownership is high enough when he looks at his projections. I'm going to say the worst play in this slate, given ownership and price, is Josh Allen, which is funny because you guys both loved him.
Let's see.
I would say it's Josh Allen or Joe Burrow. I'll give you two names.
See, I think the worst play quarterback wise would be Geno.
Because he's straight up there, but people will want to get cute.
Oh God, I don't know about you, but I would say it's Rodgers.
Rodgers is high on this week.
I have him as like second behind Allen, just ahead of Geno and Kyler.
Why?
That's just what I have from Stochastic. Like I'd have to look at other sites, but like just pulling that one up.
I guess that makes sense. People assume that he's Aaron Rodgers. He's playing against the terrible Lions. He has 13 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. The problem is he's only averaging. He's not even averaging 15 points on the year. So, like, I think everyone thinks of, like, the deep ball Rodgers, but he doesn't got deep ball receivers this year, and he's not rushing the way he used to 5 or 6 years ago.
All right, you know who else I don't like? I don't like Benjamin this week. Or any week, for that matter.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, with Connor out, if he's chalk, I'm not heavy on him.
There's so many running backs around that price that you could get. I mean,
yeah, even if I go to Fantasy Labs, I still get Allen, Rodgers, Geno top 3.
What about Benjamin? Is he high owned? I don't think he is. So I don't think we've got to put him in the lineup.
I'm looking at running backs now.
The high owned guy that I think is a bad play would probably be
Jacobs.
I would agree with Jacobs. I don't think.
Yeah. I have Jacobs third, and then Jacobs. Labs has him better because Labs has him at like 6th or 7th.
But you agree? I think Jacobs is going to be high owned this week, and I think it's a bad play. I don't remember the running. I think it might have been Leonard Fournette, like 1 year with the Jags, who just like in a 2-week span scored like 4 touchdowns, and everyone was all about it. But like the numbers previous hadn't really spoken to it. I mean, you got to remember week 1 and 2, Jacobs had 8 points and 9 points, and then he had 14. If he has 14 at 7K, that's a failure. I mean, he's getting to the point, and I like him. I like his like player profiler. We talked a lot about that tonight. I mean, coming from Alabama, tough. I mean, I'm happy with his ascension. Like I couldn't be prouder of the kid. I would like if this was a banquet type situation and I was his coach, I'd definitely make sure he got an award for the season. Like I'm really proud of what he's done and how he stuck to his guns and made himself a good running back. It's just with the ownership and the expectations, I'm out. So who's the wide receiver you guys think is just ugly this week? Gonna get high owned and just an ugly play.
I don't think.
I gotta confirm and make sure it's the same
I
across
think it's
sites.
big.
See, I agree. Me and you both said that against Sauce Gardner. I'd rather just fade Diggs.
See, I have Diggs as like middle ownership, so I think most people are doing that. Like of the real high owned guys that I'm seeing,
give it to me.
I have Godwin in the top 3 in my spots, and I'm not sure I like that.
I would not have him ranked that. I wouldn't take any Tampa Bay receivers, honestly.
Yeah, so I think Godwin's probably the bad chalk. I don't mind Hopkins. He seems to be the top guy. Tyreek and Amon-Ra are right there. Boom. DJ
I don't
Moore.
love T. Higgins pricing this week, but that's because Chase is out. So
I would agree with that. I think Higgins is too expensive this week. So those are our wide receivers. What about tight end? What's a really bad tight end this week?
Kyle Pitts.
I think
But he's just a literal like bad tight end. But like, okay, of the chalky tight ends, so those are the 4 guys above 10%. That's oh my god,
See,
Kyle Pitts is in that fucking list. Oh crap.
I'd say Darren Waller.
Oh no. I don't even have Darren Waller as a high owned guy. Like he's
not
probably projected out. Now Foster Moreau, when Waller's out, will probably end up being high. But no, like literally, I think I have Pitts, Tunyon, Higbee, Ingram are the top 4 across.
Well, hold on. Actually, I know he's not high owned, but the pricing of Hawkinson when he doesn't even know the offense is crazy.
Well, they're just
they priced him for what he normally is. They definitely
they're going off of that. Cousins loves tight ends. Like Cousins openly said he loves to throw tight ends. I think Robert Tunyon is a really bad play this week.
I wouldn't say it's a bad play. Like if you're gonna make an Aaron Rodgers lineup, you're gonna put Tunyon in it. I think he's your best bet.
He's only scored 8 points on average, Johnny. He's not fast. He doesn't have any breakaway speed. His longest reception, I think, on the year might be like 20 yards. It's 23 yards. And he's more than Evan Ingram. And Evan's seen like 8 targets a week. I don't like that, especially with Lazard coming back. You might be able to sell me if Lazard didn't come back, but I don't like it. But I do agree he'll be too high on. So let's just say everyone's going to go with the Patriots defense. I mean, not even that they would, but I'm saying like that's the best defense on the slate would be the Patriots against the Colts. That would leave us a running back and a flex. Any other high-owned running backs or
at these prices, no way. I think Deion Jackson's too high owned. That's a big chalky piece against a good defense.
Would you rather play Jamal Williams or Jackson?
I'd rather play Jamal Williams.
I didn't know that Williams was under 6K. I think that's a mistake. Even if Swift plays, I think that's a mistake. Because Jamal Williams saw like 90% of the red zone carries this season. And he only has like 1 fumble won his whole career. He definitely is our power back. I think Stevenson is in a trap. Because, 1, I'm not a huge fan of his talent. But 2, I don't think they need him this week.
like I said, the way I expect this game to go is a lot of turnovers by the Colts, and the Patriots are just going to blow the doors off them. So,
Well, the reason he's been so valuable is his targets have been 7, 8, and 4. I don't see them really throwing to running backs a lot in this game. I don't know. Maybe that's a blind spot by me, but I do think he'll be high owned.
well, I just think they're going to run the ball a lot, and they don't have Harris this week.
Okay, so obviously I know we can't finish the lineup, but we're not even supposed to finish the lineup anyways. So now that we have these like what we consider bad chalk plays, or like just bad trendy topics, let's actually try to build a good lineup using some of these games, but in a smarter way.
See, out of all that, the only piece I would be okay with leaving that in there was Stevenson. Like, I think all those pieces were just ugly pieces.
Or we can get back to Stevenson. I'm okay with that.
And I would say the Patriots defense because of how I feel the game's going to go, but my gosh, that's a high pricing for a defense.
I'm not
right. 4K for a defense is crazy.
Paying up for defense can make you different.
It can.
I do think there's plenty of good defenses low, though.
Yeah.
Like, if you really want my favorite defensive play of the week, I think Kyler is about to hit that downturn with Call of Duty. And so I'm playing the $2,500 Seattle defense, and that lets me play Kenneth Walker as a little mini stack with that.
I don't mind that. I like Walker.
Play Walker and Stevenson.
Hey, and Call of Duty's fun so far. I've been playing it.
And we're already attacking this game, so we obviously like this game. Because we attacked it with Metcalf and Hopkins in our last build.
Yep, now we're attacking it from a different side, saying Arizona doesn't get there, so you don't need Hopkins, which means they're probably running the ball. So let's go Walker in the Seattle defense.
Okay, so who's the absolute favorite play this week for you, Gov? Donnie said it was Steven, like he wanted to play Stevenson from that lineup. So I gave him that, and we'll get his favorite overall play in a second. Who's your favorite, though? Like, this guy, no matter his ownership, is just a good play.
Oh, man, that's tough.
It is tough.
I mean, it's probably Aaron Jones. Like, even if he's highly owned as the Packers piece against Detroit, like he gets all the work and he's a stud.
What do you think about Aaron Jones?
I like Aaron Jones, but with Dylan, you never know if who's gonna get the touchdowns, and that's why it always scares me away from Aaron Jones.
It's whoever can break it off, and Aaron Jones is the guy who breaks them off. Dylan's more of the bowling ball back. He has to luck into a couple goal line carries, whereas Jones will take it from 30 yards out.
Okay, I'm going to say you guys chose the first two running backs. I'm going to choose one now. And so I'm going to go right back to what we talked about, which I think is a good play. I'm just going to play the
other side and play Jamal Williams, right?
I was going to play Williams, but I think Travis Etienne's still just a better play. I know he's going to be chalky, but
yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, he will be chalky, but I'm fine with that.
I mean, he's only $400 more.
I mean, the real chalky running back is going to be Deion Jackson.
All right. If you want my favorite play of this week, though, it goes back to a game. My favorite play, it's kind of obvious, but Cooper Kupp, against Tampa Bay, who, as we all know, has been a bad defense. Shaq Barrett out for the year, not going to be much pass rush.
Okay.
Yeah, we can jam in Kupp.
He'll be a little owned too because of the injury concern, but he didn't come in with the injury designation, so I like it. Okay, we got to save some money. Can we just admit that this would be a fun guy to have?
Well, if we're gonna do that, we might as well put in Harry. I mean,
No, not Harry.
No. I mean, honestly, I'm thinking like if we're gonna play Cup, why not just make this the Stafford stack?
Stafford? I'm okay with that. Stafford is like 5,600 too, I think.
Yep, it's like 300 more than Fields. I'm fine with that. And then we could save even more and give us his other favorite target and go Higbee at tight end.
I was gonna say we save more money and we go to my man Mitchell.
That saves a lot of money, yeah. But
So what do you think, Donnie? You break the tie. Are we
okay.
going
do you
Mitchell?
want to go with the double stack or go with the punt tight end?
I say go the double stack because there's another Detroit player I wanted to grab, which was the Sun God. Yeah.
All right, so let's go Higbee and Sun God.
What do you think about Sun God this week? Give the people what you take, Gov.
He is definitely priced down. Yeah, like he should be increasing in role with no Hawkinson, with maybe a downturn in Swift. So like he already demands massive targets. Like I don't know how he can get more than 10 targets, but he could get 15 targets, no problem.
Yeah, Donnie,
that's just how it is.
It's crazy because the one knock about our offense was that St. Brown and Hawkinson ran a lot of the same routes, right? They ran a lot of that same kind of choice routes over the middle. Well, now Hawkinson's gone. St. Brown is averaging 35 receptions, and that's with I think 2 games where he was limited or out in games. He's averaging more points than Aaron Rodgers. I mean, like, I think that price is just crazy still. I agree. So then we go
put Higbee at tight end.
Remember, a couple weeks ago was giving it like 11 targets for the tight end.
Now we have 4K for our last wide receiver. Okay.
I got the player, but I'll see what you guys think.
Let me look in that range. I haven't even seen.
Me too at first.
We could play Marshall.
Good. Or we punt it and we go Van Jefferson and then we get up from tight end.
Well, I'm fine with going Marshall because it's the stack. We already have the stack with the Rams, so I think Marshall. He's such a chalky, high-owned play. It kind of makes sense with the start of the lineup.
I mean, if you want there is a real punt play that's basically the same as Van Jefferson, and it would correlate with our lineup. And then we're not triple stacking Stafford.
Is that Watson?
Wait, Watson? No. Oh, I mean it's one of those two guys, but it wasn't Christian Watson. No,
Sammy.
It was Sammy. Like Sammy, if he's healthy with that receiving core against Detroit, could just blow up. We know we've seen him have like one game a year where he just goes for 100+ yards and multiple touchdowns.
It's definitely true. Donnie, what do you think? Marshall or Watkins?
I personally think that Marshall would just be. It just fits what the meaning of this lineup is more. You know, the high talked about guys.
I kind of like Marshall.
That's true. That's true.
Well, I like Marshall because we already stacked so much, and we kind of did it at a low ownership. Like Cooper Kupp is going to be so low owned this week because he had the Q tag all week. But I kind of like it because now the Q tag is fucking off him. Like we don't got to worry; he's going to play.
Yeah,
he could get hurt, but so could anybody. You know.
No, we're banking on them being healthy and the Rams having a good game against the Bucs. We're banking on the Rams having the get-right game against Tampa. And Stafford looks good. He throws it to Kupp. He throws it to Higbee. They both get touchdowns.
Yeah. So
and that goes off.
Let's do this, and then we'll give our last pick and get out of here. who's the one player that like you want to succeed the most? Like, not that will, but like you want to come on here Monday and you want to tell me a great story. Like, who's the storybook ending for this lineup where you're like, man, I've wanted this guy to be great for a long time? Anyone like that?
I mean, I think Etienne's just finally hit his stride. I've been on it, like thinking Etienne's going to be the guy for since like right before he was taking the role. So like I said, I've been playing him in pretty much every lineup we've built.
I like this. So Donnie, let me read you a bedtime story then. So Travis Etienne, like, what is the fun blow up game for Etienne where you just like you're happy, you're smiling, you're like,
well,
you know,
it kind of was last week. I mean,
but how does he top that? Like, I'm saying last week happened already. So like, what does he do now that really excites you? The same thing? Is it just
if he does the same thing, or if he has like a crazy 4 touchdown game, just even if he's not getting the yardage and he just like has one big play that breaks off for a touchdown and then gets 3 more, whether it's rushing or receiving, would just be enjoyable.
See, and my thinking is, if I come out at the end of the day and Kyler's just looked kind of iffy and he's had 2 horrible plays where he's running around doing his thing and he gets sack fumbled for a touchdown, and then he has a wild throw trying to jam it into Hopkins that gets picked off for a touchdown, and now the Seattle defense has like 22 has like 22 points. Like, that would be the best thing. That would be amazing. I'm like, oh, Kyler making the giant mistake, Seattle capitalizing. That would be my story.
Enough, just to let you know. But
yeah, I know.
We also have the me and you, Logan, have loved Amon-Ra since before the draft. So, like, that anytime Amon-Ra plays well, I'm happy to see it.
I'm going to make a bold prediction on Amon-Ra too. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown, and this is bold, barring injury, of course, like, because we can't predict injuries. But if he plays a full game, I think he sees 20 targets this week. I did not stutter. I think my storybook ending would be that he sees 2-0 targets. Reynolds is the only other favorited, like, best friend. Like, if Jared Goff was having a sleepover with all their wide receivers, Reynolds would probably be his favorite, but St. Brown was definitely number 2. And he might have to throw to Khalif Raymond, or maybe we call up a guy like Tom Kennedy and they try to get him his touchdown because he's been a journeyman in the league for so long. But they love St. Brown. They want St. Brown to be good. And don't forget, St. Brown's dad was an Olympic like fitness guy, like bodybuilder. So like his endurance is crazy. He's actually one of the best run blocking wide receivers in the league currently. So like he never comes off the field. That's a very underrated thing about St. Brown. Like, honestly, the loss of T.J. Hawkinson, we might see him have more of a tight end kind of blocking role with this team. I'm not even trying to be funny or hyperbole. So I just don't see St. Brown leaving the field very much. What was your guys' picks of the week as we wrap up? What's your last pick of the week?
Well, I don't know if we said the lock of the week, so I want to get that out of the way first. We do have the Jags. Wasn't it? I think it was -2.5 to cover against Vegas.
+2.5.
+2.5.
Yeah, the Raiders are actually favored. So,
which is
I will take the
crazy.
points for Jacksonville, no problem.
Yeah. So that would be our lock of the week. Keeping our theme with Jags and New York's teams in the lock of the week now. I mean, do you want to take the next pick, Gov? Bring it back to you.
Sure. I think I'm going to shock the world. I'm going to bet against the Falcons this week. I'm going to take Chargers -3. Even though the Falcons, I believe, have covered 7 of 8 weeks so far. I'm gonna say they're gonna be 7-2. And I'll take the Chargers -3 points.
All right. Can you give me your first pick again? I accidentally took it out.
Oh, it was the Panthers +7.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I
Logan,
like that pick though. I'm going to take the Commanders to beat the Vikings. I think this is the week that the Vikings. I already have on the money line, but give it to me in the points for this because I got to beat you guys. So like,
+3
I
for
got to play this.
Washington.
Yeah, but this is one I did bet personally for myself on the money line, both for the Lions and Detroit. Like again, I always mention it just for transparency purposes. My picks always will be in my personal sportsbook profile, like always. I don't tout anything I don't play. And if I did decide not to bet that week, I'd still make picks, but I would tell you I'm not actually betting these. So I do think I think Washington's better than the Vikings. I think the Vikings have been the biggest fool's gold in the league. A lot of people think that's the Giants. I think it's the Vikings.
well, I mean, I don't know what to feel about the Vikings, but it's just I don't with the new coach. I don't love it either, but they look decent, and well, I don't even know if they look. They definitely don't look good, but they don't look bad either.
And I know like people say addition by attraction, but like I don't like when you make trades that I feel like Hawkinson in a vacuum is a better player than Irv Smith, right? But like I don't like it when you mix things up so drastically. Like Johnny talked about not liking the trade in division. I don't like it because it gives a weird motivation in the division. Like the Lions haven't played. I mean, they got one more game with the Vikings. The Lions haven't played any divisional opponents yet outside of that Vikings game. And so like I just feel like we can make a lot of noise. The Packers aren't dead yet. I don't know why they mixed it up now. I say that and then found out Irv Smith was out and I'm like, well, maybe it makes more sense. I just think like tight end's a hard position to learn because you gotta learn how to the wide receiver routes and then you gotta learn how to block. I don't like messing with that position mid-season if you have to. Now with the Irv Smith injury, they kind of were forced to, but I still don't like it because they gave up a lot of capital. Anything else you guys want to add about week 5 though before we wrap up?
Well, I need to do my last pick as well.
Oh, that's what you got.
And I am keeping it in the same division as my first pick. I am going Dolphins -4.5. I just don't think the Bears are good either. I pick against the same teams pretty much all the time.
I mean, it's 2 a time. You can't be afraid. It's 2 a time.
Yeah.
I think it's Fields' time with Chase Claypool. I'm not going to lie to you. I like that trade.
But I hate all their other trades. So
see, I think that game is going to get more ownership than it should. So like, I might not have a Tua double because, I mean, as much as going to a Tyreek Waddle is just going to be so tasty. I don't know. I just don't know.
I agree with you this week because I don't think Claypool has the full route tree yet, but I want to play Claypool next week. Unless his price or his ownership just goes skyrocketing, I think that was the perfect. Because I don't know how much college you guys watch, but I mean, Fields came from Ohio State as a Big Ten guy. I know that. Like Fields' best attribute was his running ability, which he's seen like 10 to 11 rushes per game, and his other biggest skill set was his arm strength, and those two things play into to Claypool very well because Claypool's good against man coverage, which if people try to run against Fields, he's just going to take off for this 10 to 11, design runs. And then Claypool obviously catching that 9 route. I don't know. I like it next week. Anything
Yeah,
else?
we shall see. I'm not a huge fan of that Chicago offense, but that's why I think that game could get mucky. But
Hey, you got to give them.
Tyreek and Waddle can just break them off.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. That's what I'm betting on for that game. You're just gonna have one or two big plays that make the 4.5 an easy hit.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm with you on that one. I can definitely see that going off.
Isn't it that in Chicago though? I don't like Tyreek Hill as much when he's on an actual field and not in a dome. I don't know. I wouldn't take the Bears. I'm just saying I don't think it's a lock. Any other takeaways though before we lock up the show?
Just like we always try to say, make sure if you are betting, doing anything like that, keep within your limits. And
never bet more than you can. Be ready to lose everything and just have fun with it. Be smart with what you're doing.
Yeah, I think. Well, we see Crown Royal here on the screen, and they had to go and do more beer commercials and stuff like that with gambling sites. But I don't think people realize that all these alcohol companies and all these different like beverage companies, in gambling, they promote safety and precaution more than most of your mainstream body image, commercials you'll see. Look, guys, make sure you have fun doing whatever you do as a hobby. Even if gambling has become a professional venture, like admit that you got to that spot because it started off as a passion. And it's really cool that you turned your passion into a job. But still keep that passion. Don't go without stay within your means. So even if you're a professional and you can bet a lot more than most people, stay within those means. And with that, I think we're done. Have a good night. Take care. But
Peace out, everyone.
Well, I said we're done, Gov. I was going to say, you guys shouldn't be done with your lineup. So we saw some late-breaking injury news this week. Make sure that you guys are checking your lineup Sunday morning.
Yeah, nothing finalizes till lock. Remember that, everyone. Have fun. Be smart building your lineups. Be smart with your bankroll. And let's all have fun and win some money tomorrow.
I couldn't have said it better, Gov. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Peace out.